Hey everyone, welcome back to another New World video. If you're new to the channel, my name is BabuBanana99. I'm mainly a live staff content creator for the game, where I teach you all about the weapon, best combos, builds, and how to get the most out of your weapon. I've got about 7,000 hours in New World, and I'm currently in some of the top companies across New World Aeternum. In today's video, I'm going to give you a quick, simple breakdown of the live staff. It won't be too in-depth since that's for a future content video. For now, I'll cover the necessities so you can understand how the live staff works, how to play in both PvE and PvP in the early game, and how to build good habits early on. Let's dive in. Starting off with what is the life staff. It is New World's only pure healing weapon that focuses on mainly AoE heals like Sacred Ground, Orb of Protection, and Beacon. It also does have burst heals to keep up your team, such as Divine Embrace, Splash of Light, and Light's Embrace. All of these abilities are useful in certain scenarios and builds, but we'll get to that later in the video. The weapon scales with focus and has a mana bar system and does increased damage to lost and corrupted enemies. Each ability with the life staff has its own purpose, so let's talk about that. Starting with Divine Embrace, this is your main single target heal ability. It is a single target heal ability that chain heals other allies when you heal your main target below half HP. That is going to be the shared struggle perk that you can get under Divine Embrace when you get enough life staff levels. And under shared struggle, we have rebound. So if the ally healed by shared struggle is below 50% health, heal another ally within 8 meters of that ally. So it is a chain heal focused ability that has a lot of burst potential. With the life staff perk refreshing Divine Embrace, it also resets the ability of Divine Embrace. So the goal with this ability is to prioritize healing players below 50% health to reset the cooldown and achieve these chained heals. It is the best single target heal available. Moving on to Sacred Ground, this is the best healing ability by far in the game and should be the foundation of all of your life staff builds. It is a small AoE circle that regenerates your team's mana with the Holy Ground ability. Regenerate stamina 25% faster and mana 50% faster while in the Sacred Ground. But the big portion about this ability is that it increases your other life staff healing abilities by 50%. The healing output is going to be increased when an ally is standing inside the Sacred Ground. Your goal is to have your teammates stand inside this ability as much as possible. It also provides Fortify when using the life staff perk. Splash of Light is your group heal ability. It provides a burst heal to everyone in your group, but not outside of it, remember that. And it is going to knock back enemies by 3 meters upon activation on the release of New World Aeternum. I am currently in the live game before New World Aeternum drops to get this content produced for you. Splash of Light is one of the best abilities for mitigating burst damage in group play. However, I really want to push this. It should be avoided when solo queuing in PvP or in open world PvP if you are not playing in a group, okay? Remember, you cannot heal players outside of your group with this ability. Moving on to Orb of Protection, this is an AoE heal that provides a small heal over time effect and a Fortify bonus that applies to all allies within 3 meters of this projectile. That would be the Aegis perk. It is primarily used in PvE and as an AoE healer in PvP. If Orb of Protection heals an ally, you will also get that Fortify and heal over time portion, enhancing your survivability and that of your team. Light's Embrace is your other single target heal ability, but it is often outclassed by DE in most situations. It can be run together with DE to create a pure single target healer build suitable for keeping up an individual or a small group. It grants 25 stamina to the target and increases their movement speed with the life staff perk. And lastly, one of my favorite healing abilities in the game, Beacon. This is the main AoE heal ability in the game, designed to work in conjunction with Sacred Ground. It creates a 4.5 meter circle that heals for 16% weapon damage for 10 seconds. And remember, the healing is increased when an ally is standing in a Sacred Ground, so use this ability on top of your Sacred Ground for maximum effect. You can either place it on the ground next to your Sacred Ground or attach it to a target. This is actually a projectile healing ability, just like Orb of Protection. Ideally, however, you want to position it where your Sacred Ground is located. Now let's talk about the key passives that make the life staff so strong. Starting with Blissful Touch, your light attacks now heal for 16% weapon damage when passing through an ally. Your goal is to have as many light attacks pass through your ally as possible. And with the Revitalize passive, when you hit with a light attack, reduce life staff cooldowns by 5%. Your ideal goal is to keep spamming light attacks through your allies as well as try to hit the enemies as well, okay? So you'll get that healing bonus from Blissful Touch as well as the CDR from Revitalize. You want to prioritize Revitalize at all costs, so if you have the option to heal your team with your light attacks or hit the enemy, you want to hit the enemy first. Desperate Speed is going to give you more CDR when you heal an ally below 50% health. It is going to reduce your life staff ability cooldowns by 10%. It can only be triggered once every 5 seconds, which is pretty strong. We have Sacred Protection. While holding a life staff, your healing abilities will heal for 10% more. Bend Light, after a dodge, your outgoing healing is going to be increased by 20%. Protector's Touch, it grants 15% Fortify when hitting a player with a light attack. And lastly, Protector's Strength, increase your outgoing healing by 20% when you have a buff. Sacred Protection actually counts as a buff yourself, so you'll always have this 20% outgoing healing bonus. One key passive I want to mention is Intensify. When you hit with a heavy attack, gain a stacking 10% bonus to outgoing healing effectiveness for 10 seconds. This seems really good on paper, and a lot of you might be interested in taking it. I would avoid this at all costs simply because you'll be trading your CDR from the revitalized passive. You really want to prioritize the light attacks with the live staff. The main reason Intensify isn't so good is because often as a healer in PvP, you'll have to swap your weapons to survive against another enemy, and when you swap your weapons, you lose your Intensify stacks. So in most healer builds, you will not see this perk being taken, but we'll talk about when it is actually good. With all of these 6 abilities, you have up to 4 healing playstyles you can choose from. We have DST, which stands for double single target. You're going to hear me refer to that as DST. There's AoE, which is area of effect healing. We have the clap healer, or the splash of light healer, or the standard group healer. And lastly, the hybrid playstyle, which focuses on a little bit of AoE healing as well as keeping up your group with Divine Embrace. Starting off with DST, we are using Divine Embrace, Sacred Ground, and Light's Embrace. This playstyle is great for keeping up single targets or pocket healing your friend in PvP. It is the best pure single target build for PvP. Nothing outmatches it. You can keep up a single person forever. However, it is not recommended for dungeons. In fact, it's best to avoid using single target heals in dungeon altogether. The AoE healer is the most common healer build you'll encounter in both PvP and PvE. It is the best build for PvE by far, focusing on utilizing all of the AoE healing abilities. In PvE, after dumping your AoE abilities, you can swap to your secondary weapon and start helping out your group in terms of DPS. This playstyle allows you to deal damage with your secondary weapon and reduces reliance on casting single target heals. On the other hand, in PvP, you dump your AoE heal abilities in the biggest clump and then start light attacking enemies to get your cooldowns back quickly. The AoE healer results in the big green numbers and makes you the #1 leaderboard healer in PvP, so if that is something that interests you, you might enjoy the AoE healer. The clap or group healer is the most common healer build in PvP, and it is best suited for a 5-man group setting. It offers the best group sustain and burst heals, making it ideal for team play. And lastly, the hybrid healer. This is my personal favorite. This playstyle combines AoE and group healing together. It allows you to burst heal targets outside and inside of your group with Divine Embrace while continuously healing outside or inside your group with Beacon. This build is best in melee compositions that can play around your Beacon and Sacred Ground abilities. You can also reposition much more easier compared to other builds, as all you need to do is put your Beacon and Sacred down, your team can play around it, and then if you need to get some space, you can cast DE later down the line. This build is my personal favorite, although the clap or group healer build is often seen as more meta due to the high burst in PvP. Live staff only scales with focus, so we will be trying to get as much focus as possible. Early game, you really want to prioritize a lot of the focus nodes here. At 25 focus, you get 5% ability cooldown reduction. You have 10% incoming healing at 50 focus. At 100 focus, you get plus 20 max mana and max mana regeneration rate. The big one is 150 focus, which is going to give you 20% outgoing healing effectiveness. You want to hit this node as fast as possible to have the best heals possible. If you are doing open world PvP, do not forget to spec Constitution, okay? You really need Constitution in open world PvP early on in the game. Now, when it comes to pairing the live staff with other weapons, it really depends on the situation. Let's talk about PvE first, and then we'll move into the PvP section. In PvE, you really have 2 options, and that includes the Void Gauntlet, which is in my hands now, and we also have the Flail, which is a more niche pick in PvE, but it is quite decent in certain scenarios, especially if your team doesn't already have a Flail. However, the Void Gauntlet does have the best utility, damage, and overall group success. Starting with the VG or Void Gauntlet, this is hands down the best pairing for PvE. The Void Gauntlet scales with focus just like the live staff, which means you can maximize your healing output while still dealing decent damage. Plus, the Void Gauntlet brings a lot of group utility to the table, like Oblivion, which increases your group's damage and yours. We also have Putrefying Scream, which CCs all of the mobs, and the Void Blade. So this is the key part of why we run the Void Gauntlet as a healer. We kind of just want to bust all of our AoE heals down and then swap to the Void Blade to start doing damage while our AoE heals tick up our group. When you're in PvE, the goal is to keep your team alive while dealing as much damage as possible, so you're essentially another DPS for your group. It is to speed up the fights, get the dungeon over quickly, and the Void Gauntlet helps you do just that. Using the Flail as a healer is more of a niche pick. This weapon is really reserved for the tanks because the Void Gauntlet is simply just way too strong. If you do want to run the Flail, you offer your team a bunch of Weaken. You also offer them a bunch of Empower in the form of Arcane Vortex, and you also have Warding Bludgeon, which increases their Fortify and gives them an Empower bonus. So it's really not a bad option, but if you're really looking to do the most amount of damage or be super useful and get into a bunch of groups, you're going to really want to prioritize the Void Gauntlet. For PvP, the Rapier or the Hatchet are going to be your go-to weapons. So we have the Rapier in my hand here. We also have the Hatchet here. The main reason we use these 2 weapons is simply its survivability, okay? The Rapier and the Hatchet are the best survivability weapons in the game. The Rapier has insane mobility with the abilities Evade, fletch and riposte here. So riposte is going to counter attack your enemies, and if they hit the riposte, you are going to stun them. And the hatchet also has abilities like berserk here, which is going to cleanse you of CC and increase your movement speed by 20%. We also have social distancing, which is going to give you a little escape soul, and we have torrent. So torrent is going to give you a movement speed as well when you hit an enemy. So we have a lot of movement speed. We don't really have evade tools like the rapier. The hatchet is mainly focused on using the berserk and torrent and social distancing to gain a little space and have a bunch of movement speed to run away. So if you like to run away instead of evade, the hatchet is going to be for you. Personally, I think if you master the hatchet over the rapier, it is a better weapon. It is a little harder to use as an escape tool since the rapier is just simply so much easier to use. But if you really want to take the time to learn the hatchet, I think it is going to be a better option, especially if you want to survive. And that about wraps it up for today's video. I have more videos planned about the live staff, especially about how to heal, the best settings and keybinds, and a leveling guide to help you get to level 65 fast and efficiently. So stay up to date for those. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe as well. Don't forget to follow my Twitch. Everything will be down in the description below, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace, baby.